Hi traders, Mandy here from High Performance Trading. Thank you so much for joining the Emotional Mastery course for July 2022. I'm so thrilled we get to work together and that I get to help you to improve your trading and to reach your trading goals. Now, the main reason why traders don't achieve their trading goals is simply because they don't have a step-by-step process. And also they work on the things that really don't matter, that really don't help them to improve their trading. And the reason why they do that is because, frankly, they have no idea what it is. So they randomly go out and listen to podcasts and watch training videos, learn a new strategy or new methodology, but they never look back and look at what is it really that is stopping me from being successful and working on that specific topic. And this is what I want to share with you. I want to teach you how to find out what your gaps are in your trading and how to address them so that you can progress towards your trading goals. Now, let me share the screen and I show you a simple step-by-step process. Excellent. So this is a process that I created for my one-on-one clients, and it's called a dip. I called it dip because, you know, buying the dip was so popular in the last few years. Now, we start with a thorough diagnostics. You have to have a thorough diagnostics, otherwise you don't know what the gaps are and you don't know what to improve on. Anything in life that you do, if you start with a personal trainer, they do a diagnostics on your body. If you go to a nutritionist, they do a diagnostics on your digestive system and on your eating habits. If you go to anything worthwhile, starts with a thorough diagnostics on what is currently happening in that context and what the gaps are, what the weakest links are, and also what the strengths are. Now, a lot of traders, when they come to me and talk to me about their emotional problems, the first question I ask them is, do you have an edge in your trading? Do you have a strategy that is written out in a step-by-step recipe style manner? And most of them say they don't have it written out, but they have an edge. And I say, how do you know you have an edge? And they can't really give me a solid answer. They say, well, because, you know, I know when I make profits. Well, that doesn't mean that you have an edge. You could be lucky, right? We all have heard about the traders who run up $1 million in profits and then lose it all because they might have had an edge in a specific market, but not in a different market environment. Or they were just simply lucky. Could be many reasons. So that's where you need to start. You need to do a diagnostics on your edge. And how do you do that? Well, you go back in time and you look at the specific setup. Let me use a really simple example. I know most traders have a more dynamic trading methodology, but let's use a simple double top or double bottom pattern. Everybody knows that. Now you go back and you look at, let's say for 2022, how many times did double tops and double bottoms occur? Right? And then you go back and you do it for 2021 because the market context was very different during that time. So you write down the number, let's say there were 25 double tops on your time frame in that market environment and 30 double bottoms setting up. Now you look at the number of how many times did they work out and how many times did they fail. Now you look at in the context of why did they fail? Oh, sorry, you look in the context of what was the market environment in which they failed. So you could see, for example, in 2021, double tops, they used to fail because the market was just raging ahead. And in 2022, double bottoms tend to fail because the market was a raging bear market. So now you have a little bit of market context. And when you know exactly what the numbers are in your edge, I guarantee you that is the first step to more confidence and to more discipline, because a lot of the doubts and the fears and the lack of confidence and the lack of patience as well is based on not having done your work and knowing exactly what your competence is in your trading edge. Now, once you have done that, so you have got the details and the statistics for the performance of your trading methodology, you look at your own performance. You start with a demon finder. It's a spreadsheet that I provide you guys. And everybody who knows Tom Dante knows that I took that over from Tom Dante. I love Tom Dante's work, of course, and love Tom Dante as well. So he is incredibly structured. He's incredibly organized. I've never seen a trader like him who is on such a high level with clarity on how he teaches. Just his Edges for Edges course is just fantastic. So I simplified the Demon Finder for the sake of our course here. And we only look at 4 main unforced errors, as Linda Rushke calls it. You can let your losses run, cut your profits short, go revenge trading on tilt, and martingale into losing positions. Martingale into losing positions means, by the way, when you add to your losing positions, but don't close out your losers. And so your position gets bigger and bigger until most traders blow out because they don't have enough margin left. Now go back in the last 100 trades or last 1,000 trades, even better, right? So the more data you get, the better. Look at how many times did you make a mistake, and or how many times did you make that specific mistake? So how many times did you let a loss run? How many times did you cut your profits short, and so on? Because what I've found is that most traders, they follow the Pareto principle. 80% of the time, they repeat the same problem over and over again, which means that when you learn to resolve this one problem, your performance improves immediately by not necessarily 80%, but by a lot. Right? So we want to focus on your biggest mistakes first. And as a domino effect, a lot of the more little mistakes will fall into place. And so you've done most of the work already with just tackling this one big mistake. Right? So we don't need to be perfect, right? I want to just find out what's the biggest leverage, the biggest transformation that I create with the less amount of work possible. Because trading has to be fun, right? Life has to be fun. You know, most traders are so serious and so down on themselves. Lighten up, people, and make your life easy and make it fun, and be inspired and motivated to create a better life for yourself. If you don't do well, it doesn't mean that you are not good enough. It doesn't mean that you're a loser, a failure. None of that lies that were told you when you were growing up. All it means is that there's some area in your trading that needs improvement. That's it. Now, next you go to the Angel Finder. It's actually a term that one of my traders came up with, and I loved it, so I kept it. Angel Finder is where you go through your last 100 or 1,000 trades, and you have a look at what did you do well? What are your strengths? Is it the bull market? Is it bear market? Is it mean reversion? Is it reversal patterns? Is it continuation patterns? Is it an impulsive, strong, fast moving market? Is it a sideways market? Is it a drifting market? It just goes drift, 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 drift. Some call it the drift of death because it gives a lot of false signals. Or is it just slowly, you know, trending market, just doing its steady thing? Like, what is your strength? And so that's the foundation that we need to do. Then we look into the gaps that we have. Now, when we look at trading, there's 3 main areas that we need to work on. It's our self-management, our mindset. It's our skill improvement, which is our competence, right? And our strategy improvement, which is usually more the methodology. So the difference between skill improvement and strategy improvement is that you already have a strategy. So let's say, again, a simple double top, double bottom pattern. But you need to practice that skill because the patterns look always different. They never look twice. And Linda Rushke says that's one of the tricky parts in trading because you might want to trade the same pattern, but they always occur in a different context. That's why they look slightly different. So you need to train yourself to recognize those patterns. So that falls under skill improvement for me. And then strategy improvement, of course. Right? So strategy improvement is where you trade a certain strategy. Let's say you trade an opening range strategy, but it doesn't work the way you traded it in 2021, doesn't work in 2022 anymore. So you need to adjust your strategy, or your circumstances change, right? You have a baby on the way, or you change your jobs, or you move to a different country, whatever it is, then you need to work on your methodology and adjust it to the changed circumstances. Now, once you know what your gaps are, and once you know what your strengths and your weaknesses are, now we can go into performance improvement planning for the coming year. We can lay out action steps and milestones to be achieved, benchmarks that we want to hit for the upcoming year, and tick them off. And when we don't achieve those benchmarks and milestones, then we need to change our action steps, right? So now we have a clearly laid out plan that we can follow, that we can measure our progress. For a lot of traders, I found they get frustrated and they get down on themselves because they don't measure their progress. They live and die by each day. They have made money, they're happy, they have lost money, they're frustrated. They don't look at the big picture of keeping the statistics. Right? So to give you a little bit more insights into the performance improvement plan, it looks a little bit dynamic, but don't worry, we can really keep it simple. So these are the three areas: self-mastery, skill improvement, strategy improvement. Under self-mastery is your thoughts and your feelings, the self-awareness. But it's not just that. There's so many other influencing factors that influence your decision-making process. And that's why just navel gazing on how you feel is not enough. Right? It's an important part, but it's not enough. You need to look at your lifestyle choices, right? Your habits and your routines. How do you deal with stress? I was just, chatting with Linda about happiness, and I see it with myself, and maybe you can see it also in my videos. I was so much happier in the last few years. I live in a really nice place. I can tell you one thing, guys: anyone who says money can't buy happiness, they have never lived in a nice apartment with a nice view, right? That makes me so happy every morning to go out on my terrace and overlook the forest and nature, and have the birds sitting on my balcony. That is good for my mental health, really. So that shows also in my trading. Then skill improvement. Skill improvement is all about building competence. Skill improvement is often where we look at you saw the setup, but you didn't take it. Right? It doesn't mean anything else, but you have an understanding in theory, but you haven't practiced it in reality. So it's kind of like if you play tennis and I teach you in a session how to play a forehand, it doesn't mean that you can play the forehand, right? Because the opponent that you work with, they might play the ball to you from different angles, or the ball lands in a weird way, right? Because there's a spin. So a forehand needs to be practiced and trained, very much like your entries and exits need to be practiced and trained in trading. And then also there's this subject about neural pathways, where you need to build a neural pathway from your brain to your index finger, or whichever finger you use to press the mouse button. And a lot of traders also underestimate the power of the brain and the normal biology that we actually deal with, that our body needs to be trained to be good traders, to stay focused, to be patient, to stay calm in the middle of turbulence, right? That is something that can be trained. Then, of course, strategy improvement, where once we know our strengths and weaknesses, we can tailor and fine-tune our methodology to the individual circumstances, to our strengths and weaknesses. For example, I worked with a trader. He has his own hedge fund, and he doesn't like to go short, right? So in 2008, he was trading solely the mean reversion strategies, still going long and doing really, really well. So it doesn't mean that when you prefer going long or going short, that you're screwed in a bear or bull market. Right? It doesn't matter. You can still find and adjust your methodology accordingly. And then, of course, learning about the market environment. So, for example, we had a very different market environment in 2022 compared to the years leading up to it. Now, you need to learn the signs that a change is imminent. Right? And again, that's Linda Rushke's strength. If you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, go and check out. There's so much goodness in it, because what Linda's amazing strengths is understanding the market environment amongst all the other strengths, right? But that really changed my trading for me when I understood, when does my strategy work? When do I work? It's the same thing, right? So look at your profits and losses in the mornings compared to in the afternoon. And Linda identified, for example, that to trade the ES on the 5-minute chart in the morning is better, but in the afternoon, better trade a 15-minute chart, because price action has changed. There's a time of day function for markets, where at a certain time of day, markets do a certain behavioral patterns, as we do. Right? So what is your best time of the day? It's so much information that we can gather that will help us to improve our trading. So as I said, I'm thrilled to get to work with you. Email me any questions you have, and I can't wait to kick off the training with you on the 9th of July, 2022. On that note, all the best, and yeah, please send me any emails, any questions that you have. Bye.